Welcome to Real Life and Archetypes. My name is Marina. So today I want to talk about the instinct of sacrifice. This is an aspect of the hero archetype that is very important. But the reason why I'm making this video today is because of something that is going on in the news. This is related to a criminal case that I was following right when it was happening. And then I'm waiting for the trial, which will happen in a few months. But there is some information that has been released about the 911 call that I find just really incredible. And I wanted to talk about it because it is really an example of virtuous masculinity. So first of all, I just want to print on the screen the victims of that case. This is what is referred to as the Idaho four students who were brutally stabbed. I think it was a couple of years ago in Idaho, and this is Madison, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana. I just want to make sure to honor them. So they caught somebody, a suspect, and the trial will happen in a few months. And that's what I'm waiting for, to see all of the evidence. But there was something about the 911 call that didn't make sense, because the report was that there was somebody unconscious, and that's what, you know, the girls, there were 2 girls in the house who survived. Nothing happened to them. They were on the bottom floor, and then 4 people were murdered upstairs. So it was a little odd for us. We didn't really understand. The call was released the other day. You can hear the distress in one of the girls, but what has transpired, apparently, this is what we gathered, is that the girls were very scared throughout. They called 911. Hours later, they were sort of in a frozen state and then fell asleep. They had been drinking and all that stuff. So they called a friend. They were worried because they knew something was wrong. The girls, their roommates, were not answering their messages. They call a young man. That young man apparently is a very good friend of one of the victims. So the thing is that he went upstairs to look and check on these young people, and he saw what he saw. But on the 911 call, what we hear is that somebody is unconscious, which doesn't match the gruesome scene that was really there. And it seems that the young man whose friend was Ethan Chapin, so he witnessed the whole scene and decided he had the instinct to protect the surviving girls from the reality, the gruesome reality that he had seen. So he told them to call 911 and report somebody unconscious. This is what we gathered from the information we have so far. And it's the only explanation that makes sense, because for 2 years we've been wondering how would you report somebody unconscious when the scene was like that? So that's what makes sense. And I want to really exalt and honor the instinct of that young man to carry that trauma and that burden alone, to have the instinct to not even tell the girls what was really happening. Maybe, he was in shock, obviously, but to me, that is an instinct to sacrifice. So that instinct of sacrifice, by the way, is very much of the hero archetype. This is what is so interesting to me. I find that some people have instinct that really show us their true nature. And it's something that is very rare to have that kind of sacrifice. Now, we have to acknowledge that traditionally, if something happens, women and children are saved first, and the men are the ones that sacrifice, by the way, and they go to war and they sacrifice. Okay, so I want to mention that because, as you know, in the culture, the masculine energy has been receiving a lot of condemnation, which I think is a very silly thing, because we all have masculine energy. So we're all going to use it. Now, men have more, obviously, but if we have and exert any kind of force and we are animated, we are awake and alive, that's masculine energy. We all have it. So I love to see examples like that, because this young man is going to carry a trauma. And I have to say, As you get older, you see a lot of things. I have, an image that maybe I wish I didn't have in my mind. I'm not going to say what it is, but this young man is going to carry this thing in his mind for the rest of his life. And he spared these young girls. I just find that admirable. And the idea of sacrifice and having that instinct reminds me of another person that I've done a series about, which is Christian Craighead, former special forces. I just want to play a video so that you see, because this man was exposed to violence early on when he was a child because of a violent environment around him, not in his family, but some bullies and people like that. And so he talks about an episode where he was being tortured for hours, but in his mind, he says the following, and I want you to listen to this because that is masculine energy. That is the hero archetype at its highest.
Being exposed to violence at a really young age, and that set sort of values in me, which that to me was like pure evil that I witnessed. I thought. And then, but here's the interesting thing, even at a young age, I was thankful. You know what I was thankful for? I was thankful that was me. Because I can take that. That was me. And I'm certain, and that's one of the biggest reasons I'm glad for. If it wasn't me that day, they had the taste of blood in their mouth. It would have been someone else. And if I'd been an 8-year-old girl, they would have raped me. I know that. I could see that. And so that was the part for me, was like, I'm glad it was me, because I can deal with that.
I'm glad it was me because I can deal with that. So this is the spirit of sacrifice. This is extraordinary, especially for a child, but this is about instinct. This is about something in your nature that is already there. And so that reminded me, the reaction, as far as we know, of that young man in Idaho who had that kind of reaction to say, you don't need to see that. Let me carry that cross. Let me bear that cross. So this behavior of sacrifice, I've already mentioned a key word here, to bear a cross. I wanted to show you, I love words. So I heard that not long ago, but somebody mentioned that holy in Hebrew had a very special meaning that I wanted to mention to you. So kadosh, I don't know if I pronounce it well, but it means sacred, holy. It signifies being set apart for a divine purpose, standing out as a calling, the calling of the hero. That's a very important concept, by the way. But these are qualities of the hero. They set you apart. So it really is about a strong individuality, because the highest expression and manifestation of the hero is actually to be connected to spirit. To spirit means, well, it's going to mean what it means for you, because whatever is related to spirituality is going to be very subjective. But what it's going to do is going to purify the intentions that you have about what you want to do, the person that you really want to be. It's a process of purification. And so connected to spirit means connected to your soul, connected to some higher purpose that feels more divine. And that really means that you're going to be a kind of person in the world that is more participating in a positive way in the world, instead of just thinking about what you want to do to gratify yourself and all of those things. So this concept that I heard about, this meaning of that word, from the Hebrew kadosh, I thought it was so interesting. Setting apart, that is the hero archetype. As I write in the text here, that's what the hero archetype is all about. The hero's journey is about an act of separation. It's really about individuality, a strong individuality. That is the function of the masculine energy. It's absolutely necessary for many reasons. One of the basic one is so that you can actually function in the world, because you're going to have to face the world alone on many levels. So you have to have agency, strength, and independence in order to face just the obstacle of existing. But then, the hero has a lot of other functions that I go into in other videos. So I wanted to mention this separation. I found it so interesting that in another language, this is actually part of the interpretation of that word. Holy, sacred, sets you apart. There's a calling, and this is all about, having a special purpose. This is what the hero's journey is all about. You're going to start by separating, and then you're going to come back transformed, and you're going to be, as you go through cycles of life, you're supposed to evolve and be a higher self, okay? So this is all about the highest form of individuality. And this is something that is going to become more and more apparent in people in terms of their instinct. That's why it's so interesting to see what kind of behaviors we have. We never know what we're going to do in moments of crisis until that happens. And then, even then, and this is why I make a lot of videos about actual warriors, because they will tell you themselves that sometimes they don't really have the same kind of reaction or behavior. So they can go on the full spectrum from frozen to, from coward to hero. I made a video about that. So the thing is, when you see that kind of instinct in someone in a situation like that, I just thought it was amazing. To set yourself apart, this concept of separation of the hero, of the hero's journey, this is something that I also mentioned a lot in the series about Christian Craighead. And I want to play another video so that you see how he talks about this concept of being different. And I kept insisting during my series that it's about, being unique, being individual. It's about the potential, because what he was referring to was the hero archetype.
Life had prepared me for that moment. Mm-hmm. And it's a thought I have, and it's sometimes eaten me up a lot, is for life to prepare me for that day, I had to be different.
So he calls it, I had to be different. So yes, of course, that you're different, but it's really that there's something that sets you apart, that separates you from, the ordinary. That's what the hero's journey is all about, to separate you from the ordinary world so that you can go and become this not ordinary person. Now, there's, it can mean a lot of things. Actually, in the end, it's not about being like super great. You actually have to return and go back to some level of humility. It's about the person that you become on an everyday level. But the process of the hero's journey is about discovering what it is that you're capable of. And this has a lot of functions, but the primary one is that you discover really what motivates you so that you can find something to love. And that makes you become the best kind of person that you can be in the world, and to bring back something positive instead of being a negative warrior, which is somebody who is always in conflict, in some form of conflict, whether it's because of the pursuit of something just for the self, or because you're frustrated, you're not fulfilled, and you're going to be in conflict with the world, or because you're at a mid-level of the hero's manifestation expression, which is like the activist phase, which is always in conflict. There's always something to fight about and to be against the world. But the real expression of the hero is to be in the world, to fight the good fight. So to fight only what is necessary, to just pick your battles, okay? So it is necessary to fight, but you pick your battles. So you see the instinct that some people have. About Christian Craighead, the fact that he said that he was glad it was him going through that torture instead of especially a young girl. This is an expression of sacrifice of the hero, that you're born with it or you're not. I mean, this is just extraordinary. So when I heard the 911 call, and then I saw a comment of somebody saying that the young man was the friend of one of the victims, it was clear that the girls had not seen the gruesome scene. They were protected by someone with amazing instincts. And it is a sacrifice. I've talked about Kadosh. I want to talk about the Christ within. That's another concept. You know, he's going to bear that cross, that young man. This is a concept that belongs also to the Christ within, very similar to Kadosh, that Hebrew name for holy, the sacred self. This is about a state of being that, you know, really embodies a sacred nature, somebody that has a higher kind of consciousness. This is the most elevated form of being. And to be, that belongs to the hero. I will go into more of this in another video because I'm going to split them into two parts. And I want to go into how this aspect of sacrifice also is connected to another archetype that has to do with devotion and work, labor, self-improvement. That's also an energy that is connected to the hero and becoming a better kind of person. It's a very interesting concept. So thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to mention that, and just for the last time, just to honor these people and the young men who apparently shielded the remaining girls from incredible trauma. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.